There are times you go to a euthanasia and family members are completely different. They're like staring daggers at you because mom has decided it's time, but hubby is not on the same page. But he's just standing there like this and he won't talk. And he's just like, you feel the anger. And when I can turn it around, when I can find the right words, when I can figure out what to say, 'cause it's not easy. I'm still learning. There's still people I can't get through to. And I walk away going, why can't I get through to this person? But it's like peeling back layers.
Hi, guys, and welcome to the House Call Vet Cafe podcast. I'm Dr. Eve Harrison. I'm a full-time integrative concierge house call veterinarian in Los Angeles, and I help other vets to build their unique mobile practices on their terms. This podcast is for and by house call and mobile veterinarians, so it is meant to give our community a platform to connect, to share our stories, to lift each other up, and to support each other. Most of us work solo as lone wolves, right? So for me, it's been really powerful to be able to physically hear the voices of my colleagues from all over the world and to get a chance to feel that we truly are part of a community of very real other human beings who get it. While you may be alone in that little bubble of your own vehicle when you're on the road seeing patients, I welcome you to join our community by tuning into our own podcast when you're on your way to your next house call. Whether you're a super experienced house call vet with 30 years of experience, you're a brand new prospective house call vet just looking to get started, or you're house call curious, there will be something for you in this podcast. Each episode, you will hear interviews from other mobile veterinarians just like yourself who are doing unique and innovative things, vets who are sharing their stories, their struggles and challenges, and you can also look forward to hearing valuable information and perspectives from specialists and experts outside of our micro niche. And finally, if becoming a house call veterinarian is something that you've been thinking about exploring, or you're looking for some extra support getting your own mobile practice to feel more profitable and sustainable for you, check out the information in the show notes about my course and our above and beyond supportive private community for members only, plus our monthly group coaching sessions within the House Call Vet Academy. You can also check out my free public Facebook group, which is also called the House Call Vet Cafe, the same name as this podcast, and which is a warm and cozy community for mobile vets to support each other in professional and personal development, in creative entrepreneurship, and in friendship. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Let's dive into the episode. Thank you for joining us again for part 2 with Dr. Dale Krier. If you haven't checked out the first episode of our conversation, you should definitely do that. She is so interesting and so wise, and I just really enjoyed our conversation. And for those of you who haven't, I wanted to give you an introduction to her again. Dr. Dale Krier is a born and raised New Yorker. She freed herself from the East Coast and moved to Colorado for undergrad when she was 18, graduated from CSU in 1987, and then moved back east to be closer to her mom after graduation. She worked for 10 years at a brick-and-mortar practice. When the practice sold to corporate, she quit the next day. Dale started Creature Comfort's mobile practice in 1997 with a Dodger truck. She discovered the beauty of in-home euthanasia practice, joined the IAAHPC, and became certified in hospice and palliative care in 2017. COVID was the smokescreen that allowed her to transition her non-end-of-life care clients and patients to other veterinarians. She's currently 98% end-of-life care and 2% A+ clients that she still works with. She's currently in process of transitioning to working 3 weeks a month and playing 1 week a month. Isn't that awesome? Well, thanks for joining us again. Here we go to continue part 2 of our conversation with Dr. Dale Krier. So shifting a little bit, I have about 5 million topics that I want to talk about with you, but I know that you're very passionate about travel and about yoga and retreats. And you told me about this incredible yoga retreat in Africa, and you have a beautiful relationship with your kids and your grandma, and you just got a lot going on. You came on my retreat and we're hanging out. And tell me how all of that fits in with your house call practice.
Well, it's funny because I was never the person who wanted to, going back to the whole corporate, I was never the person who wanted to wear a uniform at work.
Right.
It's just most of my clients, and it's really weird. And you and I made you laugh, and there's a definite thing about it, but every house that I go to, I swear has a Buddha, and I know we've talked about it. And I don't know, people go to my website and I think they the vibe, whatever that, whatever. I think that between being a New Yorker, spending time in Colorado, doing yoga, liking, I don't know, like just I'm into enough things that people find me easy to be around or something. I have a lot of following in the yoga community, or, some yoga teacher will, like, it's funny. Okay, you asked about where do I advertise? Like now it's private Facebook pages. Like if you go to your town and you get on that Facebook page, and then the next town, the next town, the next town, if they approve you into their private Facebook pages, I mean, you got to sort of stay off them. Like,
Yeah.
you got to keep your mouth shut, but it's sort of where you can get the word out there that you offer these services. And keep your mouth shut about, don't get invested in like Dr. So-and-so charged this. And I mean, it's horrible what people do on Facebook, but it's a good way to advertise. And so I'm on a lot of yoga moms Facebook page.
Fantastic.
But going back, I think a lot of times after the people say, are you a vet? Then they're kind of happy that I'm not wearing like vet attire, so to speak, because it makes the animals nervous.
Nice.
So I don't know, just kind of like you do your own thing and people love you for it. I just think it's the same thing. And I think, being a mom, being a grandma, whatever, I hear a lot of people go, oh my gosh, I hate when there are kids present. And I love it when there are kids present. I love being able to educate the little ones. And I know, we talk about beads and stuff. I have like crazy beads. Like my husband makes fun of me, but when I go into a house, a lot of times like the little kids are looking at me like, oh God, the devil's here to euthanize my pet. And then the little girls see the beads on my wrist and they just want to sit in my lap and wear my beads.
Oh,
So a mom once told me that her 5-year-old, when they're from a religious family, and when she told her 5-year-old that the vet was coming over to euthanize their dog, actually, the first question the kid said was, "Is God coming?" And and like, right, we don't think about those things.
yeah.
And then the mom explained no, and then the child asked, "Well, is an angel from heaven coming?" And so they've got profound anxiety on their end. They don't know what to expect. They're having to make these choices. And so when I come in with my crazy beats and headbands, and I mean, my grandson calls me Nana, and we evolved into Nana Banana because I would always bring bananas to the house when I babysit. So Nana Banana, and now I'm Nana Banana Bandana because like he just associates me with bandanas, and it's just like, but it makes them smile, and it makes the kids smile. So
That's
puts
incredible.
people at ease.
That's incredible. So you're talking about bringing your authentic self and people connecting with who you are as you provide the services you provide, and that human to human connection of really seeing each other for who you are. That's incredible and beautiful.
I think we sadly live in a world where people have their faces in their phones, and we have a generation of young people that have no communication skills, like can't even look someone in the eye. And I feel like I'm in a line of work where it requires compassion and empathy and sympathy and emotion. And we're so lacking in that. And I can't remember who does like hugs and who doesn't like hugs. I love hugs.
Yeah.
And so when I can, like, these big burly guys who are there sobbing and like they don't know what to do and they're fidgeting, and I'm like, do you want a hug? And they just come over to me and they give them a big ass bear hug because I like big ass bear hugs, and they give it back to me, and like I feel them just sobbing on my shoulder. It's like, oh my God, talk about human connection.
Yeah. That's beautiful. We're so deprived of that, just like real connection. And I mean, the ability to feel our emotions and to sit with the emotions of other people, that's our humanity right there. And we're so disconnected from it. And I feel like our colleagues who do end of life work are really tuned into that and just find so much, just like being a human, like it's the opportunity to just exist as a human again outside of the uniform and the AI and the corporate this and the corporate that and the fitting into the mold, and to just be like, no, emotions are who we are. This is authentic, like really authentic being in that human experience. And thank you for sharing that experience that you have in that space. And I wanted to show everyone something that Dale made for me. Dale gave me a few really nice gifts at the retreat that we had, but Dale made this. And for those of you who are listening to the audio only version, it's a beautiful beaded heart prism that hangs. I'll let you actually describe it. So Dale makes these and gives them to people, her clients, and as gifts as well. And it's just like a really special thing. And I will tell you guys also about the other gift she gave me. We'll get to that. But I wanted to hear a little bit more from your end. Like, what are these crystals and these beads that you make? And what's the purpose of them? What do they mean to you?
So when going back again to COVID, I was not entering anybody's home during COVID. I was doing all my procedures outside. So I had to come up with new protocols for the skittish kitty cats and,
Yeah.
aggressive dogs because we were all, social distancing. And how the hell do we do this? Right. Plus, we're working outside in the snow and the rain and the ice and the sleet and the hail and all sorts of horrible weather conditions. And everybody had masks on. And I mean, it was great. I could do a lot of appointments because people wanted me in and out. Like, nobody wanted a gap. Nobody wanted, it was like, wow, I could be in and out here in 20 minutes. This is great. I could have done 8 or 9. There were days that I did. And everybody was home. So there was no scheduling issues. It was like, yeah, come whenever you can. It was actually great. But I hated not being able to hug people. And I hated, I guess, an experience that is so profoundly emotional becoming kind of mechanical. And it made me sad. And I think the other thing is, as someone in my 60s, when COVID happened and everybody talks about being higher risk, in your 60s, like, I mean, I had colleagues who literally stopped practicing because they were just in their 60s and was scared of dying. And my husband and I talked about it. We worked out a routine, but people were at home talking about how they were binge watching Netflix and learning Spanish or I don't know, playing guitar and cooking and stuff. And I'm like, I'm fucking out here dying, people. Like, just this is scary. And I realized I needed to come up with, couldn't go to the gym. I realized I needed to come up with some kind of outlet or some kind of craft or some kind of something. And I've always loved when I moved to Colorado is when I first discovered crystals and I've always loved them. And I found a place in Boulder, Colorado that wholesales me the crystals. And a lot of the beads I get from Sedona, Arizona, which to me is just a place of profound energy. And anyhow, I just started stringing beads. I love them. I wanted to give people something special. I love the rainbows. My house is like, I have like so many crystals throughout my house that, when the sun is shining, my husband was like, come up here and look at, just come and look at the rainbows. It makes me smile. So I wanted to put a smile on people's faces, I guess. And anyhow, so I showed you like when I have time, when I'm just in the car, I sit around and string these. So I now give people an opportunity to choose one that speaks to them because every single one is different. They're all different colors and combinations. And, if they hang crystal in the right window, it puts rainbows all over their walls and clients just love them. And I don't charge for them. This is just me doing this because I love doing it. And I think it's my therapy, quite honestly. And yeah, I love giving them away. I'll be somewhere and somebody's having a bad day and I'll go to my car and I'll go, crystal, puts a smile on their face.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I tell everyone, yeah, they're beautiful. They're really beautiful. Everyone at the retreat got one and they all were just like so just so meaningful. It's just a really special thing, especially knowing that it's handmade, in addition to the fact that it's just beautiful. Before I tell everyone about the other gift that you gave me, I wanted to hear a little bit more about the grief support work that you do. I know you have a group and you're really dedicated to it and work in the emotion of grief quite a bit. Can you tell me a little bit about your group and what you've learned from it and what it means to you?
Yeah. So a number of years ago, before I even became part of IAHPC, I went to a conference put on by the Association for Pet Loss and Bereavement. And prior to that point, every conference I'd ever been to was attended by vets and vet techs. It was just sort of like I'm introducing myself around, and there's pastors and therapists and I don't know, crematory owners. And I'm like, who are all of you people? Why are you here? And what have you done with my veterinary colleagues? Because there were maybe 3 veterinarians there out of a group of like 300 people. But what I realized is that when we say goodbye to a pet in a brick and mortar, we say the platitudes, maybe we hug them, and then we hope if we really like them as clients that they come back with a new puppy or a kitten and then we can resume the relationship. I mean, sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. But what I didn't realize was just how much these people were grieving, and that this entire organization, the ELB, came into existence because these people were searching for resources and help and guidance, and they were beside themselves, distraught, and their vet was not there to support them. Not that it's necessarily my job to do that, but I guess I like doing that. So I started a grief support group about 10 years ago. We started in person, which we probably had smaller attendance just because people had to leave their home and go somewhere. And maybe when you were sobbing and crying, you didn't feel like doing that, But when COVID happened, we started doing it on Zoom, and it just kind of opened it up for people all over the country. And it's never a huge group. I mean, maybe at most 8 people, but it's 8 people that are struggling, 8 people that are, holding their hand, walking them through. It's amazing the things they're angry with their vets about. Like they're angry at their vets because they didn't get a sympathy card. They're angry with their vets because they didn't get a phone call. They're just angry. They're sad. They don't know how to move forward. Some of them are suicidal.
Oh,
And some of them are second guessing themselves, just like, did I make the right choice? Should I have done that splenectomy? They're just lost. And I mean, crazy lost, especially, some of these behavioral euthanasias, and
yeah.
feeling horribly judged. And yeah, so I love being a window inside this other world from the client's perspective. It's mind blowing. Sometimes I just want to smack them. And
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously, like they're broken records week after week after week after week, but that's great. I mean,
What it is. Yeah.
that's great. And I'm just grateful that I do it with a social worker, thank God, because yeah, I would want to smack them or shake them and go, get over yourself, move on. But there are people who can't get out of bed, can't go to work. And so the social worker will say things, wise words while I say stupid things. I've learned I'm supposed to just keep my mouth shut and listen, which is really hard for me to do.
That's amazing. I remember I posted something on Facebook, a quote from Palmer J. Parker, and you and I had a little conversation about just listening and how hard that can be. We all want to fix. We all want to fix. Like, that's our job. We've been
Yeah.
trained to do that. We all want to make it better and jump in. But that's just like so cool. And I remember just like really enjoying our interaction on that post about that subject. And it's just so cool that you have a social worker on board and like so responsible and well done. I love that you have that expertise in there because this is very serious stuff. Like when people are suicidal, like that's very heavy and it's a big responsibility to hold space for someone in that condition and to not make it worse. Like we can certainly make things worse. And so I do really love that you've like dove really deep into the emotions of grief and what comes up for our clients because we're not therapists. We shouldn't be expected to be therapists. And, it's just not even remotely in the realm of what we learn in school or trained or have any capacity to provide. But the reality is that these emotional experiences are so adjacent to what we do. And we can't go about our work as veterinarians without encountering very profound emotions and emotional experiences that our clients are having. And I've always sort of felt that it's a bit of a disservice that we're not equipped with those tools as a part of what we do. There's almost no other profession that is euthanizing an animal and then seeing the
And then
young
going into another realm
and then
with a
going,
happy puppy.
right, right.
Right.
Right. I mean, what we do is so incredibly unique and precarious on an emotional level, like with what we're holding for other people, but how we internalize that. And I think so many of us who are trying to reckon with that are really leaning into the emotional side of what the work is or can be, right? You don't have to do that. You can just focus on the animals. Totally fine. But if you feel pulled or you feel with your clients, if you're a person who feels deeply, like most of us want a little more of the toolkit to like hold that space and to provide. And so it's just really beautiful how you're doing that and collaborating with another professional to provide that. I admire that very, very much. So
Well, first off, thank you. There are days since I spend my work days dealing with death and dying all day long and having conversations. And then when Wednesday rolls around, we meet every other Wednesday evening. There's a lot of times where I'm like, oh my God, I don't have it in me to do the group. But when you do the group and you see, especially there are people who come every 2 weeks, like when ladies come every 2 weeks for like the past year plus. And when you see people's progress, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
especially when it's almost like this switch. Like I always felt that way with the animals. Like when you got the right drug combination or the right amount of time elapsed, and all of a sudden, like that switch went on, and you knew that pet was on the road to recovery. And I always feel that way with the people, where it's like when you see the switch come on, and all of a sudden, like they're going to be okay, you can sort of stop worrying about them, because I'm sure we all have those clients that we go home at night, we just worry about them. And yeah, so it's nice. It's draining. I'm not going to lie. And it's been 10 years. But the nice thing is the social worker who runs it with me is very capable and happy to do it on her own when I'm doing my thing. So if I can't make it or if I'm not doing an appointment, she just hosts the group without me.
Fantastic. It sounds like a great partnership. They're very cool. Thank you for sharing about that. It's a lot of work and it's heavy. And it's also so incredibly gratifying to do that group work and work with emotions and like the real shit. Thank you for
You learn a lot. And I mean, I think it's also, I guess I love it when, like, there are times you go to a euthanasia and family members are in completely different, they're like staring daggers at you because mom has decided it's time, but hubby is not on the same page, but he's just standing there like this and he won't talk. And he's just like, you feel the anger. And when I can turn it around, when I can find the right words, when I can figure out what to say, 'cause it's not easy. I'm still learning. There's still people I can't get through to. And I walk away going, why can't I get through to this person? But it's like peeling back layers. Sometimes I had one guy who, I went to his house. He told me he couldn't be present for the euthanasia at his home. And I really wanted him to stay. I always want people to stay if they can, because I feel like I'm going to give their pet a peaceful experience, hence them a peaceful experience. And anyway, what he shared with me is when he was a little boy, he and his father and their dog went to some hillside somewhere where dad dug a grave, or I can't remember the sequence of things, but basically their family dog, dad shot him in front of the kid. And then they buried the dog. That was his memory.
oh,
So childhood trauma, whatever you want to call it. But that was why he didn't want to be present. But what was happening is, well, he and I were chatting, talking, and I was feeding the dog something yummy, and I gave it the anesthetic injection, and the guy didn't even notice because the dog was enjoying something yummy, and he was petting his dog. He didn't even realize. And it was all happening in front of him, and he was just conversational, and before he know it, I mean, and I was telling him what's going on. I didn't just euthanize the dog without like saying, okay, now I gave him the opportunity to leave,
right.
but he stayed. But a lot of times when people are hard to deal with, hard to work with, there's some prior trauma that, like, you have to peel back the layers and think to even ask the question. And another one for me was, I mean, we were going around and around. I was in this house for an hour. It was time to euthanize this dog, but the husband, like, would say everything like, I know it's time, and no, but would always put the roadblock up. And then finally I looked at him and I said, you don't want to be here, do you?
Hmm.
And he said, no. And I said, you trust your wife to make the right decisions? And he said, yes. And I said, are you okay with your wife giving you permission to euthanize the dog? And he said, yes. The man was so happy to be given permission to leave. He
Wow.
didn't want to be,
Yeah.
but his wife wanted it to be a kumbaya thing that they shared together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
That's some
next
real.
time we had to euthanize one of their pets, he just wasn't home.
Yeah, that's the real beauty and skill of those kinds of relational interactions and figuring out what people need because it's so personal, this grief and the decision making process in this way. It's like there's nothing else on this planet like a euthanasia decision and watching your animal be euthanized when you have called for that yourself and kind of being able to figure people out and what they need and creating safety for them in such a scary moment. I think that's the real skill and beauty. Like people get caught up on what's the right drug protocol, what vein to use. All of that's important. But I think the cherry on top, or like not even cherry on top, but like the most deep level of importance of that kind of work is the communication and the meeting people where they are and caring to do so. if you have that capacity and desire to make it a therapeutic experience, not just for the animal to end the suffering, but to almost like a reparative experience, like what you described for this one guy who had the childhood trauma of seeing his dog shot as the euthanasia and just creating a completely different healing experience in its place. Like, what a powerful moment and what a powerful and beautiful way to create healing for everyone involved. It's really powerful.
I guess I feel like going back to the whole, cell phone thing and how we don't communicate well, we don't have really deep conversations in our day-to-day lives anymore. I think everybody's always spurting over issues and like life and death is important in conversations. I wish they taught it in like junior high school and high school, death and dying course.
Yeah. Yeah.
My next thing,
Yeah. That's your next project. I
my
love it.
next project.
I love it. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick break to remind everyone that we have the House Call and Mobile Vet virtual conference coming up. Ticket sales are open again for our third annual conference, February 3rd and 4th, 2024. This is a conference where we actually can be together face to face to celebrate each other and learn together in community. This is a conference that is for us and by us. This is where we get to meet our colleagues from all over the world, connect with our people in real time, learn actionable tips, tricks, and inspiration that is specific to our special micro niche of practice. If you're unsure if this is for you, here's what a few attendees have said in the past. Dr. M said, "It was 1,000 times more intimate than any conference, virtual or in person, that I've ever attended." Dr. A said, "It was a perfect mix of practical information regarding the logistics of seeing house call appointments and the mental side of house call business ownership." Dr. D said, "There were times that I just teared up with emotion to feel a part of a wonderful group and to know that I was not alone in this adventure." You're truly not alone. We're all here with you, no matter what type of mobile or house call practice you have, or even if you're brand new to this community. This conference is for you if you're super experienced or if you're still thinking about whether you want to be a house call or mobile vet to begin with. This conference is for you whether you're doing end-of-life care in the home, whether you're doing acupuncture-only house calls, whether you're an integrative vet, or whether you're a full-service Laboit practice. This conference is for you if you're anything in between. If you can't make it in person, no worries. Recordings are available afterwards for a limited time. Early bird prices are available before January 1st, 2024, so you do get over $100 off your ticket if you sign up before the new year. All of the information is in the link in the show notes, so please reach out if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see you there. And so I wanted to also let folks know about this wonderful gift that you gave me from Pet Acoustics. And it's like this little, for folks who haven't used it before, it's like a miniature little tiny boom box for animals. I'm going to let you explain it. Actually, I connected with Janet and we're going to have a conversation in the next few weeks and we're going to hear from her on the podcast as well. So you guys are super lucky. You'll get to hear from the creator of Pet Acoustics and hear a little bit more directly on it. But I heard of you speaking of this for a while and it always captured my attention. And then you gave me one as a gift during our retreat and I love it. And I bought a few others and I've had my clients buy them for themselves and everything. Can you tell me a little bit about this and how you use it in your practice?
Sure. So a number of years ago, I had a client who, I guess 10 years ago, because I've been using it for about 10 years, had a client who used to commute from Manhattan to Connecticut with his dogs every week. And dogs had just profound travel anxiety. And we tried every, his Promazine, his Xanax, and we tried the whole gamut of drugs. And these poor dogs were so drugged up that they were still anxious. And I guess Facebook kind of here's what your searches are or whatever that weird algorithm is. And this product, this music box came across and I was skeptical, but I was open and I actually decided I would buy one for the client. But it turned out he kind of just said to me, well, Dale, I play classical music. So, whatever you bought, it's probably not going to work. So I bought it, I had it, and I decided to try using it. It's music composed to be within a frequency of tones that doesn't incite an animal's panic reaction. The other thing her studies have shown that even in deaf animals, the vibrations from the music will actually dilate their blood vessels and lower their blood pressure. And I mean, she's got scientific studies to back her. She also creates music for babies. So yeah, good.
I'll
Yeah,
tell my
good baby.
sister about that.
Um, I think she did studies. I can't remember if it was with NYU or which hospital or in Manhattan. But anyway, so I had the music and I would describe it to people, or I would have it playing in my appointments, and people would say things like, well, I don't know if it's going to help with Rover's anxiety, but it's really calming me. And I started thinking about it and realizing like these hyper anxious owners who just want to be out of the exam room
Yeah.
because they're feeding their anxieties or their pet's anxiety into them back and forth and whatever. It's like, if I can calm them, then maybe it would calm the pet. And anyway, just playing with it in my work. And I bought the products with the thought of, selling them to people. But most people, including my husband, would in the beginning just roll their eyeballs and go, I even had an animal trainer behaviorist kind of say to me, yeah, music doesn't work. That's just, she didn't buy it.
Yeah.
So I just decided that I was going to stop worrying about selling the product and just play the music because I like listening to it. It calmed me too. And like animals, like literally coming, they're attracted to the music. It's crazy with the cats. Cats more so than dogs. They like seem to want to curl up to the box and just snuggle right up to it. I had one experience. We have some friends who have just crazy freaking ass dog, just barky, 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 out of control. People came over and their daughter was engaged and they were having an engagement party. So I decided to bring the music box to see if it would help Lucky. It was kind of crazy the way their house was set up. They had this big glass window and people were walking up to their house and the dog could hear these people coming and he was barking and barking and barking and barking. And they had the dog kind of cordoned off so it couldn't be out with all the humans, but it was still barking, and put the music box in there. In about 10 minutes, Lucky's in there snoozing.
Yeah.
And Lucky slept the entire 3 hours that I was there. Everybody who knew Lucky would like go inside and like puke because they were amazed that Lucky was sleeping. At one point, the music box got too hot. It was in the sun and it went off and Lucky sort of woke up. And then I turned it around. I took it out of the sun and got it going again. Lucky literally turned her body around to be closer to the music. And again, slept throughout this entire party. And finally I said to my friend, look, I got to go. I'm sorry to take the music. I turned off the music and I swear to you, Lucky woke up in like a minute. And you could literally look at the puzzlement on her face because she's like, who are all these freaking people in my home? How did they possibly get in here? Was I sleeping on the job? But you could actually see the confusion in her. It's crazy the stories I could share with you about, like the local shelter calling me about it. Well, we call it music emergencies because they had a mom who had just had puppies who was in the animal shelter, was freaking out, wasn't, able to nurse the puppies. And we brought the music in and it relaxed the mama and she was nursing the puppies. Jenna actually just got a deal. She was sharing with me with some company that makes dog kennels crates where there's now going to be a slot to incorporate music in them. And she said a lot of veterinarians are reaching out to her. We're trying to get them all into animal shelters and music. I mean, and no disrespect to anybody who has a preference to a certain style or flavor of music. And I guess I'll say, don't hate me if you guys are rap lovers, but I'm not. And it gives me a migraine. And if I go into people's houses and they're playing rap music, I just like, get me out of here. So I feel like animals must feel that way about even some of the music we play that we like, that we think they're going to love, and it may be making them absolutely nuts. But the calming that it brings, especially in the euthanasias during like those awkward silences where nobody knows what to say and you're like literally hearing somebody's stomach gurgling, and it's just nice to have the music playing. So I don't go anywhere without it.
Yeah. Oh, it's taking you places. But the thing is also just like, it's this adorable little cube and clients like love it. Just like looking at it, they're like, that thing is so cute. How can I get one? It's definitely at a very, very minimum, a really sweet touch to the experience. But I've also used it with deaf animals and they were calm. I don't know. I really like it. I enjoy the music myself too. And Maggie, my cat, has her own little box. I have ones that I bring to my house call. She's got her own little kitty boom box. She loves that thing. So I don't know. I'm very grateful that you got me one and introduced me to it. And I think this is just like something really special that a lot of house call vets could really benefit from. And so, yeah, we'll hear a lot more about this once we talk to Janet in future episodes. And I think we're going to go ahead and close up the episode here and see if you have any beverages that you would consider to be your favorite.
Well, it's a funny thing because your love of mushrooms. I'm on a health journey in the last year, and I know you know parts of it, but as of the beginning of January, I gave up coffee and I got my mushroom coffee. So, yeah, I found a blend that I'm enjoying. I mean, I'm only a week into it, but I'm happy with it. And yeah, so I'm coffee free right now and onto my mushroom coffee.
Beautiful. Is it
Yeah.
Rides?
No, it's mud water.
Oh, mud water. That's delicious. Love it. Oh, I'm so glad you're drinking mud water. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they advertise that it comes with a frother, and I didn't get my frother. Should I get one? Do you know?
I also did not get my frother. So we should take up arms and, we should have like we should protest this. We got to contact them. But
Yeah, I didn't know how much it would change anything, but yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's nice to have a warm drink,
Mhm.
and yeah, I'm trying to do without coffee, so we'll see how long that lasts.
All right. Best of luck with that. That's incredible. And I love that you're having mushroom coffee. That makes me particularly happy. So thank you so much, Dale, for being with me today and for these beautiful insights and inspirations. And I'm just feeling lucky to know you and have you in my sphere. And I hope that everyone who's listening gets as much out of this conversation as I did. And I will see you around. And bummed that you won't be at the conference. I know you're traveling for a very good, wonderful self care purpose. But I'll see you around either way.
Yeah, and I have to say for a plug for anybody who has not been to your conferences, I can't say enough about recommending your conferences. I am sorry that I'm going to be missing it. I had not been a fan of online stuff just because I like the in person. I always have. But when I did your conference the first time, I was like, oh my God, I can like listen to these fabulous speakers and I can cook and I can, like I can do other things and I can be in my pajamas. And it was just, your speakers are phenomenal. I can't say enough about your conference. I am truly blown away by all that you do. I guess it's what do I want to say? See, it seems to be a running theme about all of us as veterinarians. We're all like, just have this need to keep doing, but like you do amazing things with what you do. And I wish everybody can attend your conference because it's well worth it, well worth the money. The information, the speakers, it's just the camaraderie, the good vibes. So yeah, putting in a big plug for that.
Thank you, Dale. I really appreciate that. We'll miss you and we'll have to get you speaking next year. You're going to be one of those amazing speakers. Already are.
You don't do any, is it possible for someone who can't attend your conference to get your conference?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's recorded and people can watch afterwards.
But you
And
can't get the CE if you watch it
you can't get
afterwards.
the CE. That's right. The CE requires quote unquote live virtual attendance. Yeah. But in any event, we will miss you. And I can't wait to continue this conversation in other venues.
All right. Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the House Call Vet Cafe. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never have to miss an episode. This podcast is made specifically for you, so don't be shy if you'd like to reach out and let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as the House Call Vet Academy, where I also share more valuable content. If you're interested in learning more about consulting for house call vets or the House Call Vet Academy online course and community, please click on the link in the show notes. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I can't wait for you to join us for our next episode of the House Call Vet Cafe.